Hello, thank you for joining me for today's video. My name is Tracy Held. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne in Australia. To make this card today, we're using the Bright and Beautiful suite. So that's the Beautiful Balloon stamp set with the coordinating Beautiful Balloons dies and the Bright and Beautiful Designer Series paper. I'm also going to be using the gold and silver trim combo pack, which is in the online exclusive. You won't find that in the catalogue. If you want that, you need to look online for that. And I'm using the iridescent shaker circles. Try say that. It's a bit of a tongue twister. Now, the Starburst is one of my favorite techniques. That's what we're going to be using for today's card. I am going to change up the designer series paper slightly just to give us a different color. So this one I went with the blues. I'm going to go a bit more pink for that one. But you've got all this beautiful paper in this pack. And the really nice thing is that they all coordinate with each other. Right, now, when I did the Starburst, I actually made sure that we could get all of that out of one piece of designer series paper, and I'm using the front and the back of the paper. But if you wanted to, you could use different paper from different packs. It doesn't matter. I'm going to just start with my stamping. I'm using this piece of designer series paper, but I just want to give a little bit of zing to that pink side. I do like the color gradient, but I want a little bit more to go with it. So I'm going to just stamp some of these splots on, and we're stamping off because I don't want the splots to overwhelm. And while we're stamping, I'm just going to get all my other stamping done at the same time. So I'm stamping a balloon for my insert. Now, you can stamp these balloons solid, but I like them actually stamped off. I think that it just makes it look a bit more, you know, when a balloon's pulling and you're sort of seeing through the rubber. And I need another balloon. Now I have actually stamped some of the balloons that we're going to use, but we're just taking one of those before I put my berry burst away. I need to stamp my sentiment. Here's hoping I can stamp straight today. That'll do. And our balloon needs a string that's floating with it. That's all our stamping done. Now, before I move away from my stamped images, let's just cut out this balloon. Now, you can, of course, cut this with the dies, but I decided that I didn't actually want that little bit of white showing around the edges that you get with the dies, so that's why I'm just cutting it. And I normally don't like fussy cutting. It's not my favorite, but This is relatively easy to fussy cut. There's not a lot of detail in it, so we can deal with that. I do have another two, which I did so that you wouldn't need to watch me cutting them in the video. Alright, so those are our pieces. Let me just stick my insert inside my card, then that's done. Oops, let's throw the glue while I'm about it. And I also have a strip of DSP which I'm going to stick on the bottom. Could have stuck that before I stuck the insert in, but it doesn't really make much difference. It's cut to size, so that'll be fine. Now the fun part, let's build our Starburst. So we're going to need 4 pieces of the DSP, and what we're going to do is we're just going to cut them from the top left corner to the bottom right corner. So I'm landing up with 8 triangles. So I'm taking my base piece, and let's just pull in my other pieces here that I've already cut. We're going to work with half this piece first, so mark the middle, and then I'm going to put glue all along half of it. And you can start with whichever piece you want, it doesn't matter. You want your points going slightly over the edge. And the important thing when you're building your Starburst is to make sure that this base piece is completely covered. Now we're going to take our next piece, and we're just, see there, we want that completely covered. We're just lining it up that it's sitting directly against the edge of the piece before it. Now we've got this tiny little corner here that hasn't been covered. Don't worry about that. If you think that you can cut straight, grab a scissors and trim the edges. I know that I don't have a hope of cutting straight, so I'm going to do this on my trimmer. Now I'm going to take one of those off-cut pieces and just stick it into the corner here where we had a bit exposed. Just want that completely covered. This is such a tiny piece that I'm going to cut that with my scissors. And then we're going to do the same on the second half. Now, if you want to, you can do them all together. I just then find it's much more difficult to cut it with the trimmer. So that's why I work half and half. And sometimes it's just the way, where you start, whether or not your pieces cover completely. Okay, let's trim those bits off. And there was the tiniest little piece here. I'm not even going to worry about that, but that is so tiny that I'm going to hide it with balloons. I'm not going to even try and stick anything on there because guaranteed I'm going to mess that. All right, now we've got a backing for our Starburst, so we're just going to stick that on there. Let me pull my card back in so that you can see what I'm doing. And that's going onto the front of our card. Just trying to find my die so that I can show you what I've done now. You've got this long strip in the dies. And this is a really fun piece because if you cut it that it's over the edge there, those pieces will actually be loose, that you've got a fringe. What I did is this piece is sized that it's going to fit exactly sort of the strip, the length of the die, well, the width of the die, but it's cut so that you've got a slight edge on either side. So you're getting this sort of, I don't even know, like strippy look, but it's not cut, so it's not going to be a loose fringe on the top and the bottom. And we're just going to pop some glue on there and stick that along the bottom of our card. There we go. So that's giving us a decorative border on the bottom and adding a bit of interest. Now we need our balloons. And I'm sticking one flat over there somewhere. And then I'm going to pop this one up onto a dimensional. And make sure that we hide that bit of ribbon or that corner that wasn't completely covered. My sentiment, I've got a mat for that. And that's going onto dimensionals as well. And we're going to pop our last balloon that it's sitting on the corner there. Now, I've tied my little bows. Those I'm going to put on. with some glue dots. Now I did have 3, but the way that I've positioned this balloon, I think that that back balloon doesn't actually need a bow, and it's going to be difficult for me to get one there, so we're just going to pop one onto that balloon. And another one onto, oh, if I pick up the glue dot, this glue dot really likes it here. It doesn't want to leave, so we'll just have to force it. Right, now these shaker circles are very pretty, but they're actually very, very little. It's when I saw them in the catalogue, I thought they were bigger than what they are. Now, what I've done to stick them in, I don't know whether this is the best way, but it worked for me. So all that I'm doing is just putting, trying to keep it little, and here we'll put some all over. So just little dots of glue. I'll put some on there and some on there. Did I get any there? And then what I did is I just took some of my shaker circles and sprinkled them over the glue. Now, I know that this is a bit hit or miss. I'm trying to get them where I've got the glue, and I'm not concerned, because what I'm going to do is sprinkle them and then leave the glue to dry. So I'm not going to lift them just yet. I'm not showing you the completely finished version of this card, because if I leave them to dry, then so I'm assuming, and I think that I've got them over where I put my bits of glue. Right, now what we're going to do is leave this like this. I'm going to let the shaker, so let the glue dry, and then once it's dry, I'm going to just shake off the loose circles, and the remaining ones will stay in place and stick to that glue. Okay, so it would be nice like that, wouldn't it? But no, I don't have glue all over there, and I don't want to smear glue all over, because then you have glue all over your card, which makes it all sticky. So you can see it worked here. I've just got the shaker circles where I had the glue. So we'll let that dry, and then I will throw them off. I hope that you've enjoyed this card. Have a play with the Starburst technique. It's really fun, and you can use different colors. This one's maybe, all pink. I wouldn't use the same paper for both. You want something that's got a bit of a difference between them, so that you can actually see the effect of that Starburst. I hope that you've enjoyed this card. I will see you again next time. Until then, bye.